And your first question was, Republicans need to stand? Absolutely. Now, if you look back, the Bush tax cuts kept an economy going through Katrina, natural disasters, 2 wars, taking down of our Twin Towers, the crash of the stock market, all of that. Those tax cuts kept us at 6% unemployment or less during that entire period of time up to the last 2 years, when what happened? The Democrats took control of both houses of Congress. They're still trying to blame us for the past 4 years, when in fact they've controlled it. They've controlled the budget process. They've controlled the expenditure process. Now I will fault George W. Bush for not vetoing entire bills. Reagan would have. So he spent too much. He allowed too much spending. But there were the majority of Republicans that voted against that spending, including myself. You know, Mark Schauer has this commercial where he says, you know, I voted against the Wall Street bailout. He did not. He wasn't there in 2008. I was the one that voted against that. And then he says, oh, what I meant the one that came to expend the rest of the funds for the Wall Streeters when I got there. Well, he doesn't tell you the fact that that was a know-nothing vote. Didn't mean anything. The Senate had already turned that down. Nancy Pelosi put it up so people like Mark Schauer could vote that way with no consequence, because it didn't pass the bill or stop the bill. It had already been stopped in the Senate. It cost him nothing to vote that way. And now he can say in an ad, I stood up against the fat cats. Well, let's see if he would have done it when it counted, when the vote actually could have happened. I'm seeing the end of time here, so anyway, rest of the story.
One quickie, where do you stand on the inheritance tax? What I've read
The death tax?
is inheritance death tax, that if a family has business or farm, that if the government wants to take 50% tax, you'd have to sell the asset to pay the taxes. Then where are you going?
See, that's where I just detest Speaker Pelosi and Barack Obama and Mark Schauer talking about the inheritance tax is just for making people who haven't earned it richer, i.e. the inheritors of the family farm, for instance. It's not going to hurt the inheritance tax. The death tax doesn't hurt the extremely wealthy anywhere near what it hurts those of us in communities like this who have farms, and it doesn't take much to get up to the level where the inheritance tax kicks into the point that exactly what you're saying happens. I've got the farm, I've got all the implements, I've got all the assets there. I could go on as a young farmer now and make it, but the government says, no, we're going to ask you to pay what your forefathers already paid on, again, in order to keep the family farm, or the small business, the restaurant, whatever.
That's wrong.
And so now you got to sell it to pay the tax. That's robbery. And it squashes the economy and the incentive to succeed. So this year, George Steinbrenner, in his own inimitable way, chose to die at the right time. I say that facetiously. And he died January 1 of 2011. The inheritance tax has been huge. This year, it was nothing. 1 year. The phase out of the Bush tax cuts worked that direction. I mean, all of that resource now didn't go to Uncle Sam to waste, abuse, and spend. But it's gone somewhere to be used in the economy again, whether you like George Steinbrenner or not, and I didn't like George Steinbrenner. But nonetheless, it was his money. The same with the family farm. So what we're doing is hurting people who have the least ability to pay, and we're calling them rich fat cats, and saying they deserve to pay the inheritance tax. That's wrong. We'll take one more.